Welcome to the Maverick podcast, where today we dive deep into one of the most complex and compelling nations of our time, Iran. Through exclusive conversations, we explore the nuances of Iranian society, economics, and geopolitics, as told by those who live it every day. Our guests today include Mohammad Hossein Mezbah, Rahil, Yasna Safai, Saman, and the outspoken academic Sadiq Zabakalam. Iran is often painted with broad strokes, portrayed either as a villain or a victim. But the reality, as we've discovered speaking directly with Iranians, is far more nuanced. Take Mohammad Hossein Mezbah, 36, a former vice leader in the political wing of the Basij militia at Iran's University of Science and Technology, who now works in the food industry. According to Mezbah, the decades-long international sanctions have undoubtedly slowed Iran's economy. However, he argues with data that, long-term, living standards have actually improved since the 1979 revolution, although recent economic mismanagement has halted real progress. Contrast this with Rahil, a 28-year-old Afghan-Iranian woman whose life was upended by her anti-government stance and Afghan heritage. Rahil sees Iran's economic decline sharply, a disappearing middle class, heightened inequality, and exploitation worsened by Trump's maximum pressure sanctions. Yasna Safai, a 22-year-old teacher in training and former Basij member, believes Iran has significantly advanced in science, technology, education, and general quality of life post-revolution, despite undeniable challenges in sectors like healthcare. She blames poor internal economic policies more than external sanctions. Our next guest, Saman, a 36-year-old public servant, offers a provocative viewpoint. For him, comparisons are irrelevant because the regime itself is fundamentally flawed, and sanctions have impacted everyone, rich or poor. But perhaps the most intriguing voice is Sadiq Zabakalam, a 76-year-old former professor at Tehran University, well known internationally for his daring political statements. Zabakalam asserts that sanctions primarily devastated Iran's middle class, destroying opportunities and pushing many into poverty. Ironically, he suggests, the sanctions intended to weaken the regime inadvertently stabilized it by weakening the group most capable of driving real political change. Turning to geopolitics, our guests debated the looming question: could Iran and the US ever normalize relations under Trump? Zabakalam is surprisingly optimistic, believing economic desperation might force Iran back to the negotiating table, especially as Trump presses China to reduce its Iranian oil imports drastically, down from 1.5 million barrels per day to perhaps only 200,000. Yet Mezbah is skeptical, particularly after Trump's controversial order to kill Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. For him, mistrust is simply insurmountable. On the explosive issue of Iran-Israel tensions, all guests largely agreed, direct war is unlikely. Mezbah clearly states that Iran's official doctrine favors indirect confrontation rather than outright war. Zabakalam underscores that neither country desires war, knowing such conflict could rapidly escalate into a regional or global crisis. Finally, our conversations explored Iran's internal ideological battles, particularly regarding mandatory veiling laws. Rahil passionately argues that such oppressive measures can only end if the regime fundamentally changes. Saman predicts new restrictions could trigger massive street protests, warning the government that this might be one battle too far. Zabakalam strongly opposes compulsory veiling, seeing it as a political tool rather than a religious imperative. He believes the growing movement of unveiled women indicates Iranian society's rejection of this enforced morality. So, can opposing Iranian factions ever reconcile? Opinions vary widely. While Mezbah believes Iranians struggle with democracy due to their historical experiences, Zabakalam warns of potential civil conflict if dialogue fails, advocating instead for peaceful protest and structured political opposition. These are just glimpses into the intricate realities of Iran, a country divided yet resilient, facing enormous pressures yet showing remarkable adaptability. Thanks for joining the Maverick podcast today, where truth lies beyond the headlines. Until next time, keep asking questions.